Hello everybody, Demon Red Mist here, and I am on to do the Dynamic GT League Red Bull Junior guide around the Brazil Grand Prix circuit, which is the next location for the next race. I'm going to load up in 1 second. I just need to make sure that the video is working. For some reason it's not showing me that I'm live yet. I know that I haven't been on doing much of my drifting recently. Been a bit busy, unfortunately, to do with the real cars, so you have to bear with me a little bit with that. Right, okay, we are live. Yes, you're going to have to bear with me a little bit with that, but I've had another interesting idea with that, actually. I'm thinking about finding myself another drift car, something a little bit mental. Not necessarily mental in power, just something mental to drifting. Okay, anyway, like I said, we're on for Red Bull Junior guide around Brazil. Now, for anyone, any of the DGT drivers or anyone that might be watching this for help, the video that I did for this track in the last championship car, which was the Toyota SFR, to be honest, a lot of what I explained in that video will be relevant here. The only differences are going to be a couple of braking points and the speeds that I'm doing. So a lot of what I would have explained around this track. By the way, I'm going to have to find out off the admins whether they're going to go for 9:30 or 13:45. I think it'll be 13:45 because it's closer to midday. Yeah, so bugger, have I pressed the wrong button? Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so a lot of what I mentioned for the Toyota around here will be the same for the Red Bull Junior. But like I say, main differences will be the speeds that we're doing and a couple of braking points. Hopefully I'll be able to show that. I haven't done any warm-up laps today, but what I am going to do is I am going to do a couple of laps and then I will go around corner by corner. By the way, you can have a look at these settings if you want to check what the lobby settings are. But actually, I would advise for any of the DGT guys that want the lobby settings, either next time you're on a lobby with SGP, ask him to load the lobby settings so that you can save them. You can save it from the top left corner, one of the options up there, so you have the exact lobby settings for the championship. Or on the next race day, once he's set the practice lobby up, then you can save those settings. Okay, let me just go and make sure that I'm on the right sheet, which I think I am. Thank you, Twilight. Love the channel. Love you too. Well done on your podium. Where's my fucking champagne though? Right, okay, setup wise, I haven't done a lot of setup work. I'm on default setting again, other than the wings. Interestingly, around this track, when I was driving around it last night, I was finding that the rear of the car was wanting to oversteer a lot in just a couple of corners. I went for reducing the front wing a little bit, and actually it made it worse. I was still getting the oversteer and I was also getting a lot of understeer. So what I've actually found is by increasing the aerodynamics, I've gone from 735 to 745. By increasing the front wing, what it effectively has allowed me to do is steer less but turn more. So I'm not losing the rear end because I'm not applying as much steering angle. It made the car much more stable, but I still need to fine tune that. So everything is standard apart from the wings and the gears, and my gears are still probably going to need a little bit of work, to be honest. I mean, did a few runs around here yesterday, but not loads. Okay, so like I say, I'm going to go round, do a couple of laps, get my eye in a little bit, and then I will go corner by corner. So So let's go do some crashing. Right. Just a reminder, as always, when it comes to actually racing in the DGT League, it is recommended that you use the radar that I'm showing on screen now. It allows you to see when cars are very close to you and you can position yourself relevantly. It is the most useful tool on this game. Well, like I said, I haven't got my gears set up absolutely spot on in this car yet. By the way, if you can't hear me, let me know, and I will jump into a chat party to do the audio on this. Now, for anyone that did watch the video that I made for here with the Toyota, hopefully you will notice that a lot of what I did say then is very, very relevant here, especially to do with the racing lines that I'm going to use. Okay, one of the big differences of braking point around this track in this car compared to the Toyota, in the Toyota we had to brake at the 100 metres. Now I'm pretty sure in this you can do 50 metres, but it is right on the limit. Short shift to third, lose the rear, and save it if you can. And you might notice there actually, I was losing the rear. How did I save it? Off the throttle while I was dealing with the steering. This corner is pretty much the same as the Toyota. Don't want to hit the first apex, want to hit the second one, and then slow it down as soon as you're at the curb, or just about as you're at the curb. This corner again, let the car turn in, and then the track will take you round. Might need first gear for this corner, ideally second gear, but if you need first, it can be done. This corner is a big difference, just absolutely flat out. And then remember, up here, the straighter your wheel, the faster you go. Okay, see if we can get turn one a little bit better. I did go up to third a little too soon, to be honest. Ran a little bit wide there. But once I got on the power in third gear, I was able to go absolutely flat out. Here, the braking point is a little bit later than in the Toyota, but not a lot. And let the car slow down and don't steer too much. So you'll notice that I'm pretty much trying to use exactly the same racing line that I would have used in the Toyota SFR. Oh, a bit of a bump on the curb there. And little tip for you, in qualifying, at the end of your hot lap, up the left side, the shortest run to the line. If you are going to go for another lap, you have to quickly move over to hit the brakes. Can take first corner in third gear, if depending on your gear ratio, and as long as you get it slowed down in time. Braking point up here is for me, it's the service road. And then My slowdown point up here is about the 50-metre marker board. Start of the curb can lift off. Straighten the wheel before you brake there. Try not to hit the apex curb on this next corner. Braking point is difficult for this corner because there isn't really anything as a marker. Okay, so I'm going to go around now looking at a few of the corners. So yeah, the Toyota SFR, the brakes on that are not very good in comparison to this car. So in the Toyota SFR, the 100-metre marker board, which is just on the right of us here, was the braking point for turn 1 here. However, because this car is so good on the brakes, you can brake at the 50-metre marker board. However, if you brake after that, you're not making the corner at any decent speed and you're probably going to hit people. If you happen to be on the left-hand side of the track attempting an overtake, you can still brake at the 50-metre marker board, but you are going to have to slow down a little bit more to keep a tight line around turn 1. Because if you're going to run over to the right-hand side of the track on the exit of turn 1, you better make sure there isn't a car next to you, and that's where your radar comes in handy. Bear in mind as well, when you're in this position, there is not a lot of anything marker telling you when to brake. So if you are moving up to this kind of position, either keep an eye out for where that 50-metre marker board is, or depending on if you can see it at high speed, the red pit structure as when to brake for the corner. Okay, on the racing line, the actual way that I brake for this corner is exactly the same way as I did in the Toyota SFR. So I'm hitting the brakes nice and hard at the 50-metre marker board in a straight line. As I start creeping off the brakes, I can apply a little bit of steering and straighten up again because the road starts moving to the left. The way I like to take this corner is to try and take quite a late-ish turn in so that I can apex the curb, and you can use the curb, just be careful about how much you apply the throttle, so that I can exit the corner in this position on the left hand side of the circuit. By doing that, it allows you at this point to then short shift to third gear and go flat out, or try to, around the next right hander. If you run further over to the right hand side here, you lose time in turn 1 and you're going to lose time in turn 2 because it's now a very tight corner if you're on the right hand side. So hopefully you should be able to be flat out now in third gear, running all the way through turn 2 and turn 3, and let the car run out towards the curb. Be careful of anybody that is coming out of the pit lane. Okay, the next braking zone is a little bit different to the Toyota SFR. Again, in that, had to brake before the 100-metre marker board. In this car, we can use the 100-metre marker board as the get ready to brake in a second, you dickhead, right? However, if you have cars in front of you, and this is the same for turn 1 actually, if you have a car directly in front of you, bear in mind you probably will have to brake a little bit sooner. Okay, the service road that I mentioned is on the right of me here. Now, if you happen to be on the left-hand side of the track, you can use that understeer engineering sign as your braking point. However, it is also a warning. Understeer is going to be coming your way, because you better slow down a little bit more and potentially get down an extra gear. But yeah, the service road on the right, the start of it is my braking point, so now I'd be on the brakes and be on those brakes hard, so that by the time we get to the 50-metre marker board, we can hopefully be coming off the brakes so that we've got the car slowed down into third gear, and don't turn in too soon for this corner. The sooner you turn in, the tighter you make it, the more likely you are to run wide. Gary, I know you struggle with this corner. Work on this process. You see that green hut on the left hand side of the screen? Do not turn in until that is about to go out of your screen, okay? So brake at the service road, brake hard. Get it down into third gear, so down 3. As that's going out of your screen, then you can start turning in, and the aim is to get your left hand wheels on the apex curb. It will help you around the corner. By doing it this way in third gear, it means if you fuck it up and get it wrong, you can always go down the extra gear to make sure you make the corner. Now we're obviously absolutely flat out and heading up to two corners that in the Toyota SFR was a little bit evil. In this car, it's an amazing couple of corners because this car has got so much more grip. However, if you slow the car down beyond the 50-meter marker board, chances are you're going to understeer wide. If you are too aggressive with your throttle, and by that I mean going on and off and on and off, once you've passed the 50-meter marker board, you are going to spin out. Bear in mind as well, if you have too much steering angle applied while you are full throttle, you could also spin out. But going on, off, on your throttle will spin you, and doing that with too much steering angle is a guaranteed spin. Okay, so the aim here is to slow it down at the 50-meter marker board, but then be on the power again, full throttle, and one smooth steering angle. So that's the key. Once on the throttle and once turning the wheel. Okay, and the only way you can really do that is by slowing it down. It doesn't need a lot, it's only a tiny fraction. Slowing it down at the 50-meter marker board and potentially knocking it down from 6th gear to 5th gear to give you the extra turn in. We're not aiming for the first apex, because if you hit the first apex, you're going to run wide on the second apex. So we're going to go middle of the road-ish, and around this point you may feel that you have to start steering a little bit more. But interestingly, if you are committed to full throttle, you're getting maximum downforce, which means you can ease the steering on a little bit more and a little more before you get to the limit, okay? Because you're smooth. If you're on and off and on and off, it ain't gonna work. But if you're full throttle and planted with it, you'll be able to realize that you can apply a little bit more steering angle if you need it around about this area, so that we can then tuck it into the apex curb, and by the time you get to about this point, the steering angle has to be coming off. Because if it's not, that's when you'll spin on the exit of this corner. Okay, so the steering angle starts coming off, which will allow you to run towards the exit of the corner. Now, in an ideal situation, you may have seen the way that I do it, the way I sweep around the corner, by the time I touch these curbs, that's when I brake. Now obviously, if you're touching the curb on the left at the wrong point, you could be braking too soon, you could be braking too late, and there is not a hell of a lot around here to tell you when to brake. There's not a lot really, but you can kind of peripheral vision use the understeer sponsor signs on the left hand side of the track. As they're going out your screen, hit the brakes. Now this is a corner where people like to attempt to overtake, but the fastest way around this corner is not by braking late, it is not by attacking it. Because of the speed you take through the previous corner, you need to have the wheels as straight as possible to slow it down in the best way possible. The deeper you go here, the more steering angle you may still have applied, and when you hit the brakes, you're not going to slow down as well. Also, when you get closer to the turn-in point and you go to turn in, you'll understeer straight on. Take less speed in here, into this corner, to take more speed out. Because what you want to be able to do is approach this corner in a straight line, even if you have got some dive bombing person behind you. approach this corner in a straight line and take one nice sweeping turn in before the end of the curb, cold tyres, so that you can try and position your car here. Right, if you're braking too late, you'll never reach this point. You'll always go deep. You'll end up much further over to the left, and you don't want to be over there, because being in this position now opens up the left hand corner that's coming. As I mentioned, as the curb on the left is about to go out of the screen, we can lift off, start turning in, and once it grips up, you can get on the throttle. And the aim here is, once you get on the throttle, you do not have to lift it off again. And it is one of the keys to this corner in this particular car, or cars with high downforce. If you are on and off the throttle, you're going to spin the car. Okay? So the aim is to press the throttle once and keep it pressed. As Jackie Stewart often says, I'm not going to do the accent, as Jackie Stewart often says, don't press the accelerator until you know you don't have to take it off again. Because if you go into the corner and you accelerate and then go, oh shit, I need to lift off, you've done it wrong. Too soon. Wait so that when you compress it, you can keep it on. As you do that, make sure that you then don't steer too much. This corner is nicely cambered to allow the car to really push around the corner. Once you're heading towards the exit, you should have a nice straight steering wheel. You know, come on, cold tyres. This corner is exactly the same way that I said to do it in the Toyota SFR. We approach the corner middle-ish of the road, we get a nice little turn in, and then we straighten up the wheels and hit the brakes. The temptation here, and I know I have it with the particular gear ratio setup I've got, the temptation here is to go up an additional gear, then brake. But in actual fact, that causes such a distance travelled that braking for the corner is then too late. So you might find you're better off holding on to a gear so that it's easier, you can get your braking point much better. Don't brake late here. If you're braking too close to the end of this AstroTurf on the left, you're going to be slow into this corner. And again, use all of the road, but don't touch the grass. So we're braking in a straight line, and then just as the curb is about to go out of shot is when you can turn in. And again, we want to try and really use the apex curb here, because it'll help pull the car around the corner. Then it's dead easy, flat out. Sorry about the dodgy engine noises, but with the cold tyres it doesn't like it. So yeah, dead easy, absolutely flat out down here. And then we're into, as I mentioned, a very difficult braking point, because there is no particular marker. The only thing that I can really say about what I'm doing as a braking point here is it's all on feel. I would potentially say, okay, the end of the curb on the right is in line with the 100 metre marker board. 100 metres is too soon for this car in this corner. However, about 75 metres should be absolutely fine. So between the end of the curb and the 50 metre marker board. Now this is where it's going to get really difficult. Chances are in a 40-minute race that 50 metre marker board might not be there for very long, and that could cause a few issues. So for this particular corner, excuse me, it's going to take a little bit of learning on your part to kind of work out the rhythm. If you get that previous left-hander absolutely spot on, then the speed you're approaching this corner should be the same pretty much every time, unless you're in a really heavy slipstream, which means your engine note should be about the same every time you approach this corner. So if you can actively listen out to how your engine sounds as you're approaching this braking point and when you hit the braking point, because that is a way that you can do it on the sounds of the car that you're driving. Difficult to do, I know, but it can be done. If the 50 metre marker board does survive, then between the 50 metre marker board and the end of the curb. Okay, as we head into this corner, again, initially brake hard, but then we don't have to actually brake a lot for this corner, and start turning in just after the end of the grass. And try not to get on this apex curb too much. The more you're on this apex curb, the more the car will bounce, and preferably you want to be right next to it, so that once you get into this position you can go full throttle and let off the steering. Get that steering straighter so you can accelerate all the way up the hill easy. Right, gonna jump back to the pits, put a fresh set of tyres on, and then I shall go out there and show you how not to do it again. Now what I might do on this couple of runs is also show about if you're going to be defending a corner or attempting an overtake in a corner, the difference of how much you have to brake. Also, I will just show here what happens if you apex the first part. See how wide I'm going, and I'm having to slow down. So if you apex the first part there, you don't make that corner. Okay, I'll also show what happens if you brake while you got your steering angle on here and brake too late. Made the corner, but I've hurt the tyres. Also, I wasn't going at full speed, but if you do get on that curb on the left, just be a tiny little bit cautious of how much of throttle you apply with your steering angle. Okay, so we're looking at the 50-metre marker board. Third gear, preferably. If need be, use second to get the turn in. Let the steering ease off as you're going around this corner. And then we're looking for the service road for the braking point. Okay, we're going to lift, dab a brake, downshift, are we? No, we're not going to downshift. Yes, I am. Probably didn't need to. So there is where it's tempting to go up the extra gear. On the next lap I will go up the extra gear, and you'll see that it does make the braking just a touch more difficult. Okay, I'm going to take turn 1 in second gear this time, just to show the difference of turning. So did get a sharper turn in, not as fast as taking it in third gear, but it's there if you need it. Well, I'm not going to downshift this time, see what happens. I'm in third. So it's gone a little bit deeper. So by going up the extra gear there, I did go in a little bit deeper. Taking too much curb there. Okay, I'm now going to drive off the racing line, so if you were defending or attacking. So down into turn 1, I'm going to be on the left hand side of the track. Braking at the 50-metre marker board. Bear in mind though, if you have got a car in front of you, be very, very careful. You see I went down the gears as quick as possible there to make sure that I could get it slowed down. So let's see how much time we've lost just by running that tighter line into turn 1. I'm also going to go tight line here, brake of the 100 this time though, because we need to slow down more. So I lost half a second by running the tighter line. Okay, let's see what happens if we go up the inside here. We'll have to go down an extra gear. 2 gears to make sure I don't run wide. Gonna have to go down to first. Now I'm gonna have to wait a lot more, because if we go on the power too soon I will lose the rear. Okay, start to the curb, can start braking. Comfortably make the corner. Okay, left hand side of the track, this is a difficult one, especially if you've got a car to the right of you. Okay, gonna go for another lap on those kind of racing lines, just to show again the braking points. But look, 2 seconds I've lost in that middle sector by being off the racing line. If I did have a car on the right of me here, I would have to give them room, so I would have to lift as well. Okay, as I mentioned previously, down into turn 4, 100 metre braking point. We'll try the service road. It can be done, but it's a little more on edge, and I've ran further wide. If I had a car on the right of me, I would be hitting them. Okay, up the inside this time, going to brake a little bit sooner before the 50. Just go down the 1 gear, but I'm going to have to lift here. If I hadn't have lifted, I'd lose the rear, because of how much steering angle needed to be applied. Okay, start of the curb on the right here. Braking point, makes the corner easy. Okay, gambling up the inside. Can be done in 2nd gear, just make sure you still slow it down a lot more. And there you go. Right, what I'll say is if anyone's watching this and wants to know anything else in particular, now's the time to put it in the chat and I can have a look at anything for you. But yeah, I must admit I do love this. I do love this car around this track. Now, the interesting thing there as well is, I mean, you look at those lap times that I did. The first 2 lap times being on the racing line, a 1:25.2 and a 1:25.2. The next 2 laps being off the racing line, a 1:28.5 and a 1:29.4. That's a 4-second time loss, just by being off the racing line. That's how much you have to slow down to make sure you stay on the track. Okay, and that's where quite often I've said on some of my videos, sometimes you're better off not chucking it up the inside into a corner. Make the other person defend the inside of a corner, and then you can stay on the racing line because it's 4 seconds a lap faster. Okay, I'm going to give it a moment, see if anyone has got anything that they want to mention in the YouTube chat. Give it about 30 seconds, and if not, then that will be this video done. Whew, yeah, I am looking forward to the race around this track though. Can create carnage, but at the same time, can also be very, very good. Right. I am going to end this stream there, so thank you very much for watching. Make sure you check out the Dynamic GT League's YouTube channel for the race footage of round 1 in the Red Bull Junior Championship, which was from the Red Bull Ring. Hopefully that'll be available in the next day or 2, and even I haven't seen the race footage yet, so hopefully it will be an interesting one. Anyway, have a good weekend folks, and I shall see you all again soon.